Welcome back, fellow gamer. I wanted to go over today my top 3 commanders for your Super Friend deck. I love playing Super Friend decks. It's just the variance and the surprise and awe that you get when you're able to pull off multiple ultimates, win you the game. It's quite satisfying. So in no particular order, these are the 3 commanders you should look for towards your next Super Friends deck. The first one is a pretty well-known one, and it's Sliver Queen. So you get access to 5 colors, and when you bring out Sliver Queen, she can produce 1/1 blockers, and for 5 mana, a 7/7 body is pretty good. The trick here is really making sure you have access. It gives you access to all 5 colors, so you can get your doubling seasons. You can get your tutors from black and white. You have your counter spells in blue, and in red you have access to quite a few spells that can help you in a pinch. Now, I did say that Sliver Queen does make great blockers, so in the form of 1/1 tokens. To be honest, a lot of the times when I was piloting these decks, I didn't cast Sliver Queen at all because my deck is running so efficiently. Because I have access to 5 colors and I build my mana base correctly, I'm really able to take advantage of the strength of each of those colors. It happens sometimes where I will bring Sliver Queen out and utilize her ability of making blockers, but that's generally when things are going slow for me. When I'm playing at maximum potential, I am hitting off every turn and doing everything I need to do, activating Planeswalker abilities, drawing extra cards, using those cards to better my board state. But again, if things aren't going that well, you just hit a bad draw, you can always bring Sliver Queen out and protect your board. That's always a good way of making sure that things are just progressing at your pace. But again, it comes down to the 5 colors. You really want those 5 colors, and then maximize use of all of Magic's cards. The next one is a commander that everybody loves to hate unless you're piloting that commander, and that is Marcel. Now, she is an absolute bomb. As soon as people see that you are running a Marcel deck, you will be the target at the table. She is pretty fierce. I absolutely love playing Marcel, not just as a Super Friends deck, but just as a good spells deck and just going wild. Now, the good thing here is that when you play Marcel, you're already the target. So playing Planeswalkers, which generally make you a target, don't really cause you an extra burden because you're a target. If you're a threat at the table, you're deemed the worst threat. Well, you can't be an even worse threat than number 1. So you might as well let loose with Marcel and her friends. The only thing here is you don't have access to green, which is great for, counters, and by counters I mean the actual counters you put on, not a counter spell. Like the doubling season and everything like that. And not only that, you lose out on black, which has its tutors. Now the black Planeswalkers, while they are good, I would say the colors that you have in red, white, blue, and white and blue particularly, have some of the strongest Planeswalkers. Now the goal here is really you get out in our set and you start attacking and you put on the Planeswalkers that you're getting from the top of the deck. Now this does help if you have some sort of deck manipulation, but even not, you're still able to cast a lot of the things that are going to be coming off the deck. I myself run a creatureless Narset deck 100% of the time. I rely on Narset as my sole creature. She does have hexproof, which is baked in protection. She is obviously susceptible to mass removal spells and things that don't target, so you do need to be careful on that front. So maximizing the evasion with the actual ability of casting things on the top of your library for free, you should get out multiple Planeswalkers in one turn. Now, I did mention how this was pretty much a creatureless deck. I like to put in spells that make it so that other players can't really attack you en masse with a bunch of different creatures. So if it's cards like Norn's Annex, or with cards like this where just one person's attacking, one person's defending, you make it a real duel, and you make it so that even if they would be willing to pay high amounts of mana or life to attack, they just can't do it. And that makes it so that your Planeswalkers will tick up. And the more the Planeswalkers you have, the better, because you're then able to tick up all these Planeswalkers at a reliable pace while maybe having one Planeswalker dinged if you don't have any blockers. Now the last one is one that I've only seen mentioned a few times in either forums or on EDH Rec, but it's a good one. It's one of my favorites. It is Dania, and she is an absolute tank. I ran an absolutely disgusting Eldrazi deck with her as my commander. Now this, with the Super Friends deck, is a completely different route because I'm not looking at ramping up a huge amount of mana to start casting my Eldrazi's. I'm really looking at taking advantage of low costing spells to refill my hand quickly at the end of each turn, and having access to blue allows me to play a lot of cards that will enable like flash abilities or disruptive abilities so I can cast more cards at the end of people's turns, therefore ensuring that I can refill my hand again and again. And it does give access to green-blue, which is, again, a great gold mine for Planeswalker cards. And having these types of draw engines where you're just going through your deck quickly enables you to put up multiple creatures quickly. Dania is a great way of going. She is quite the target once people can see how fast you start drawing your whole deck, but she can protect herself pretty well, and again, by playing a lot of different Planeswalkers, you're able to maximize your play each turn. And you start taking up or taking down your Planeswalkers to really develop a board state that you would like is a great way of going. I will be posting in the future a deck list for each of these 3 decks that I've mentioned. By far, I've had the most success with Sliver Queen. I've played a Sliver Queen Super Friends deck for about 3 or 4 years. I think I've only ever lost maybe 3 or 4 games. And that's in multiplayer setting. Dania is probably the one I've had the least success with, but she's still very successful. I've managed to win quite a few games with her, but if I were to choose, 1, 2, and 3, I'd probably say Sliver Queen and Narset are close to 1, 2 as 1, 2 can be. And then in a third slot, there's Dania. Dania does give you access to a different type of play strategy than a Narset would, and is more honed than a Sliver Queen would be. I really enjoy playing all 3 decks, and I would suggest that you check out these 3 commanders as your next Super Friends general. And if you have any ideas or any decks that you have gone through as a Super Friend deck that I did not mention, I would love to hear it. I'm always looking for new ways to play Super Friends, so leave your suggestions in the comments. I would love to hear it. Thanks for watching. And don't forget to like and subscribe. It really helps the channel out. If you'd like to see more, click on one of the 2 videos that are there, or click on show more in the description below to see when and what we upload, as well as when we stream. And if you need an update on what exactly we're going to be streaming that week, don't be shy to hit us up in the comments or reach out to us on Twitter. We'll be more than happy to chat. Until next time, good gaming.